Hey, welcome back. It's me, the Mysterious Vegan, and I am coming today going to talk about food storage. Well, specifically produce storage. We want to make sure that our produce is lasting as long as possible, especially in these crazy times. So stick with me. I'm going to teach you some tricks, and also, we're going to go over some benefits of some of my favorite produce while we're at it, because we got to have the information in there as well. So let's just go ahead and start with, first on my list is ginger. Okay, so I keep my ginger in water. Yes, I keep it submerged in water, and it lasts a very, very long time for me, like this. So I do have to change the water out every week, probably a little bit more than a week. So do keep the water fresh. Don't let the water get stale in there. But if you're keeping fresh water in there, the ginger lasts a really long time and it stays juicy but doesn't lose its flavor. So that's really, really great. I love ginger because the oils in ginger, the volatile oils, are very similar to non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So ginger is a really great anti-inflammatory. It's really good for upset stomachs and to relieve light nausea. So making a ginger tea, and that's why we drink, if you have a tummy ache, they say drink ginger ale, because ginger is really good at relieving minor upset stomach cramps. Also, the enzymes in there helped protect and coat the gut. That's awesome. They get those digestive juices flowing. So ginger is really great to add into your kitchen. Also, we've got a cousin of ginger, maybe, I don't know. This is turmeric, and I keep my turmeric in the same way, in fresh water, changing it out frequently. Lasts me a really long time like this. And the active ingredient in ginger is zirconium. I think I'm saying that right. Even if I'm not, it's the active ingredient in turmeric that gives it its bright orange color. That is the main antioxidant, that is the showstopper here. So zirconium acts similar to hydrocortisone. Acts similar to hydrocortisone. So zirconium is anti-inflammatory, protects against free radical damage in the body, which is muy excelente. And another thing about zirconium, you can find a huge long list of benefits on zirconium. There's been so much research done on turmeric and the benefits of it that I'm just giving you a little taste of its possibilities. One thing though, it is best absorbed with oils or black pepper. So anytime I use turmeric, I have powdered turmeric right behind me that I just use in dishes as a coloring agent or just as a spice. And I always put black pepper with it. It makes the body be able to absorb it. So without that oil or the black pepper, your body is like, you need a buddy. If you ain't got no plus one, you can't get in. All right, let's talk about lettuce. So this is spinach I have in here, but all lettuces are the same. I store them the exact same. I just take them, wash them off, and then put them in a plastic bin with paper towels. Now you want to put them in here with paper towels. You want to make sure that you add something in the container to absorb the moisture. That's what keeps the lettuces crisp, and that is what we want ultimately at the end of the day. So just in a plastic bin, and really you don't even have to keep it super airtight. This one has a little hole on top, but if you don't have any of that, just keep a corner up so that it doesn't get real humid in there, which is going to really mess up your greens. Also, let's go ahead and talk about celery. So this is how I keep my celery, and I just wash it and roll it up. Like the bottom and the tops are still in here. I just roll it up in tin foil and leave it in there in the drawer, and the celery literally lasts me several weeks, you know, maybe last me a month if stored properly, because wrapping it in the foil doesn't really allow too much moisture to get in, so they stay nice and crisp, which is what we like at the end of the day. A few things about celery. Celery is awesome for lowering blood pressure, lowers stress hormones, it's high in fiber, it's an excellent source of silicone. And silicone is not only good for your skin, your hair, your nails, but it's also vital for healthy joints, muscles, tendons. Silicone is needed for that. And I really love to juice celery. Celery juice makes it really palatable for me, because I personally don't really like the taste of celery. So you can either cook it, put it in stews, soups, stir fries, anything, or you can juice it. Also, you can make a tea from steeping celery seeds, and you'll get all the same benefits. Right, let's move on to potatoes. Okay, nothing too special about potatoes, but we want to make sure that you're leaving them out on the counter. Once you get potatoes home, take them out of that plastic bag. Do not let them sit in that plastic bag, because they will go bad fast. So take them out of the plastic bag. I just keep mine in a wooden bowl on a little shelf. It's best if you can keep them in the dark. So if you have a pantry or a drawer or a cabinet where you can keep the potatoes so they don't ripen in the sunlight, it's better. But just out on the counter is fine. Also, another thing that stays out on the counter, garlic and onions. So you want to keep these out on the counter too. One important thing, never ever put your potatoes next to your onions. Don't do it, because they both release gases as they ripen, and coincidentally they are perfect to ripen each other. So the gases that onions give off as they age are just the specific gases that potatoes need to make them ripen, and vice versa. So keep them as separate away as possible. Onions also like to be in the dark. You can make onions last for months if they're stored in a dry, cool, dark place. So in the bottom of a pantry, in the back of a cabinet, any of those things will make your onions last a long time. Okay, let's see what we got next here. We got tomatoes. Also, tomatoes are kept on the counter. You can put your tomatoes, and I keep my tomatoes next to my potatoes, but you can just keep them out on the counter. Do not refrigerate your tomatoes. Don't refrigerate them unless they're cut. Once you cut into it, then it needs to be refrigerated. But if it's uncut, don't put it in the refrigerator, because it will lose its flavor and it'll get kind of mushy, soft. If you've experienced that, that really soft, mushy texture might be because you're refrigerating your tomatoes. Couple fun facts about tomatoes. They are super high in potassium. They reduce water retention. They're high in vitamins C, E, beta carotene, and loads of other antioxidants, including lycopene, which removes the bad kind of cholesterols from the blood, which is what we want. We don't want to have a lot of cholesterol in our bloodstream. Tomatoes are best for you cooked. Cooking the tomato allows these natural antioxidants to be absorbed into the body. Not to say that raw tomatoes are bad, but cooked tomatoes are best. move on here to mushrooms. I know you've been looking at this bag, just wondering what was in here. So we've got our mushrooms in here, and nothing special. I just took the mushrooms straight out of the container, put them in this bag, put the bag in the refrigerator until you're ready to get to them. If you buy mushrooms that are in the carton container, like the paper carton container, you can leave them in there, just take the plastic off. If they're in those plastic containers, it would be best to move them to a paper, just so they can breathe. They like to breathe. Then we have our raspberries, and pretty much all berries are the same. Once you get them home, you want to wash them and then store them. You can put them back in the container you bought them in, or you can just put them in any kind of bowl or container like this so they can air out. They want to air out. They don't want to be humid, so don't put them in a Tupperware container with a lid so they can't breathe. The moisture won't be able to escape, and your berries will mold very quickly. Although strawberries tend to dry out quicker than raspberries and blueberries. So with your strawberries, you want to put them in an open air. If you take them out of the store-bought container, you want to put them in an open air container with maybe a damp paper towel or something either on the top or on the bottom, just so they have a little bit of extra moisture so they're still juicy for you. Any other berry is sufficient just being in a bowl in the refrigerator, not in one of the drawers. Next up here, we've got our citrus. I love citrus, is my favorite. If you can't tell, I used it for all kinds of stuff. Citrus belongs in the refrigerator. I don't know who needed to hear that, but don't leave your citrus out on the countertop. It wants to be cold. It wants to be away from the sun. And I think they just taste better when they're cold. Maybe that's me. But regardless, putting your citrus in the refrigerator makes it last a whole lot longer. Especially, I was noticing with my limes. So these are regular limes, but I normally buy key limes. So when I would buy limes, I would leave them on the counter like I thought you were supposed to, and they would always brown. They would end up looking like little nuts. They would be brown and they would be really hard, and there would be no juice left in them. Well, I looked it up, I did a little research, and come to find out they go brown because of the sun. So they don't like the sun, so keep them out of the sun and in the refrigerator. It will keep them nice and juicy so you can eat them. Also, before you cut into a citrus, I don't know, you always want to roll it. I normally roll it on the countertop, but you just want to roll it. I call it waking it up, you know. Wake them up. Let them know you're about to cut them, because it makes them a lot juicier, I've noticed. Lastly, let's see if that's lastly. Oh, no, not lastly. Second to lastly, we've got our carrots here. Now, I've just washed these carrots. Actually, I haven't washed these carrots, but you get the point. Just put the carrots in a paper towel or a kitchen towel and put them in the bottom of the drawer. That's where they like to be, and they don't like to be humid at all. But they don't like to be overly moist. So you got to make sure you take them out of the plastic bag that you buy them in and just kind of leave them in the drawer so they can air out naturally. That's the best way they'll stay crisp. So behind me, I've got some herbs here. This is mint, this is parsley, and cilantro I also have. These herbs really like to, you can think of them as beautiful herbal bouquets, because you want to put them in a glass or cup, vase, if you're fancy, whatever, and fill it up with water. I don't know if you can see, there's water all the way up till here. And same for this one. And you want to make sure most of your stems are in the water. And my fresh herbs like this, they last for about 2 weeks fresh. Beautiful green crisp herbs. So that's the way to do it. Also, I'm going to tell you about a quick produce wash that you can do. They sell produce washes of all kinds, and you can just use water, but if you want something a little bit more effective, you can either use white vinegar or salt. So in your sink or a big bowl, you'll fill it up most way and then put a teaspoon of salt in it or a couple teaspoons of vinegar, depending on how much. Now you only need a little bit of this, so make sure you dilute it. And then you can let your produce sit in the mixture for 5-10 minutes, rinse it off, and go ahead and store it as you would. Thanks for checking out my video. I hope that you learned something that may be useful for you in your life to help your produce last longer, helping you save money. Thank you. Until next time, peace and blessing.